my whole life is about being difficult. I'm a difficult person. I realize that today.
Wow.
It's, you know, this whole dying thing. Now, I brought this up for a reason. Number one, I have a horse throat because I had a major surgery. I wasn't supposed to be able to talk again. I was thinking about what did I use my imagination the most for, to become a healer. There's no doubt about it. When I quit everything and I came back to Canada and I started writing shows about spiritual awareness and paying for the shows, and everybody thought I was nuts. My friends walked, my parents were like, I sold my Learn to Read business, which gave books to school children. We somehow made the government pay me. Just gave it away to my then girlfriend. Moved to Canmore and started working in a rock shop. But I had a big picture in mind. I had this in mind. And everyone's like, yeah, right. And what are you? A healer. Yeah, right. I had no problem with it because the one thing I wasn't lacking in was confidence. That's something that's probably my number one gift. But my imagination got me here. Not my hard work, because it's mostly everyone's hard work. All my clients worked hard for any miracles they've had. Every single one of you. Jan, how hard did you work to get where you're at? I mean, my God, think about it. Sure, we gave you the platform, we gave you philosophies, ideas, medicines, treatments, but you had to go home and change your diet, how you walk, exercising, all the work you did. And in it, what did I always do with every client? I have them see themselves healing. That was our trip to Las Vegas when I took an employee, and I had to isolate Susan. She was my difficult client. She should know it. And helping her change her pragmatic viewpoint on healing, that she had to go way outside the box for a miracle to happen. So why not go to Vegas? Right? I was going and I didn't want to leave her because I allegedly have gifts that can sense things, and that was a key point in turning your cancer around. Take it. So I took her on holidays, which we had already planned to go, but I didn't. We had invested so much in Susan. And I needed and desired from you a more hopeful and positive understanding in general of everything. And you did it. It was amazing to watch. With Cheryl's hard work and how. And you started to use more of your imagination. What happened? Are you aware of that? I don't like the pregnant pause.
I'm not sure if I see it like that, but I know that that it was sort of like two tiers. The first tier was when I first met you, and I came for treatment, and you put your hands on me and did a whole, actually you did all the physical manipulation, you did a lot of things, but you asked me after my operation when I came back again, you said, what's the biggest thing I did for you? And I said, you took my fear away. Well, it didn't last forever, right? So I think that, I remember when we were in Las Vegas, and at some point, I don't know what was happening, at some point you turned around and said to me, okay, what really is going on? What's the big deal? And I said, I'm afraid of dying. And then we all started laughing. Or the two of you started laughing, and then I started laughing.
We're very tactful with time to heal. Very appropriate.
And I think at that point I lightened up a bit.
That's the whole idea. And to be honest with you, you do not have an objective viewpoint, perhaps, but I watched you start to imagine yourself better.
Sorry, say that again.
I watched you start to imagine yourself better, start to picture more positive outcome. The fear was blocking your imagination. That's my point.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to today correlate to people. The power of imagination. It's actually the key to everything. As I considered, now let's get back to one point because I'm jumping all over the place. I never do that. Number one, this throat. When I was laying there in the hospital dying, because my throat was closing, it was so swollen, they had to do laser. They found a goiter and it was growing into the lung. It was huge.
It wasn't hard to find.
Yeah. I was literally choking to death when I went to the hospital, and I didn't even go in the hospital for that because I was working too hard. I was a workaholic healer. Awesome. So I was like breathing heavy and thought, okay, this is a problem. But I didn't know that it was actually like this big with tentacles wrapped around my throat and growing into my lungs. And suddenly my throat, got swollen. I tripped going upstairs, hit my head. For some reason, yes, believe it. Oh, and believe it, it was in, my God, my job, right? You guys just see what I go through. That was with a client who, let's say I was dealing with their dark a little, just a little. I take on pretty wild cases. Trip, go to the hospital, lying there on my back, it caused my throat to swell. So now I'm choking to death in the, what do you call it? Yeah. Where the magnetic resonance MRI.
Yeah.
And I'm literally choking. The guy, they pull me out, and I'm unconscious, and they go, and then I start breathing. They go, oh, okay. Put me back in. He stopped breathing. Pull me out. I pop up again. Hey! That's me. That's me, eh, right? And they're like, okay. Now, who did it happen to be but his brother? It was all magnificently, again, manifest beautiful. It's your brother popping me in and out. I introduced you to Aaron. Yeah, don't know your brother.
Yep.
I'm at the hospital dying on his table, and he's like the only one smart enough in the room of the 5 who goes, this guy may be dying. And went and got a doctor. Sure enough, I am. My throat's closing right up. I was breathing through, the doctor said, like the size of a nail. My throat, and that was it. I didn't know how I was breathing through that. And they put me in surgery immediately. And whereupon the swelling got so bad, they had to put a tube down my throat after they took it out because of the lasers they had to use, and cut my vocal cords. Never is he going to talk again. I wake up to, you may not be able to talk. You're lucky you can even breathe. We're so worried. They have me in ICU, and what's the first thing? Aaron, you tell the story so much better. So much better. I'm kind of a positive person naturally, so even in shock, like I go to the hospital for hitting my head, and I wake up in ICU, choking to death, being told you have no voice.
Okay, I'll add a few things to the story. So, he wakes up in ICU with the tube in his throat and is talking. They're saying, you can't talk, and he says, okay, I understand, I won't talk. They're like, no, stop talking. Okay, I'll stop talking. No, so he gets a pad of paper, and they're explaining, no, you really, really can't talk, and your throat is still swollen.
You're lucky you even can talk, because you cut your vocal cords. Stop.
No, they're telling you, you cannot talk. Stop talking. Okay, I'll stop talking. I don't know if it's really wise that I should stop talking. Don't you think if I stop talking, I might not be able to restart talking? So isn't it better if I just keep talking? Like, stop talking. And then they're explaining that he needs an emergency tracheostomy because his throat is so swollen.
That's right, yeah.
So he says, an emergency tracheostomy. No, I'm good. No, thank you. And they're like, no, it's really, really important. We don't think you're going to be able to breathe tomorrow. This is a problem. So he writes a note and explains that he fully understands the procedure and the risks and that it's an emergency and they're very concerned and he will consider it next week.
My uncle's a doctor on the mainland. He's actually quite well renowned.
Yep.
Ken, he's a guy on the TV, the positive doctor who says everything will be okay. You know, something like that. He's rally the troops. And he's all about imagination. He created his whole life. But he even said, you gotta get tracheostomy. He came into the hospital and said, I backed you as a healer for God's sakes. You gotta trust me on this one. I was like, yeah, I will, Ken.
I will totally look at it next
write it down. So the first thing I do is get
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh yeah, I'm not supposed to eat. They're trying to feed me mashed potatoes.
No, he's got a tube down his throat.
But here's the key. I'm imagining being better the second I wake up. Positive. How much of positive imagination is important? All of it.
All of it.
All of it. How much does it make your life better? Every aspect of it. I woke up, I'm told, your voice is going to be gone. I start talking, go, it's not. They did come up with the voice. So to me, I'm holding on to this voice. There's no way I'm letting go. So what did I do? Now, anybody knows me as a healer, I dream a lot of my solutions and then get back to people the next day. I make elixirs, medicines from herbs and roots from all over the world. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. I just go, this is what it looks like. I phone a botanist. What the hell am I talking about? It's in Israel. It grows in gravel. Let's bring it.
But just for the record, that was a really, really challenging Google search. There's a yellow flower that grows in gravel in tropics and in Israel. It's little.
And you exactly get now. Having been a horticulturist, I know we're doing intelligence survey. I'm not stupid about it, but I challenge this woman.
It's a yellow flower that grows in gravel.
No. we worked on this.
We found it. Hey, we found it.
Positive imagination. That's how I come up with all my every healing, every person here who I've healed who's recovered as a client. You've all seen examples of it. And I will not hear it cannot be done. And then I have you imagine what you need in results. And then I imagine what we're going to get it. And then together we imagine what the outcome will be and what the program should be. We set your programs on hard work, diligence, process of elimination, Susan. My God, you've worked so hard for your health. Every one of you, I'm not the amazing healer. We are the healing team. And without the client cooperate. But most of what I found is I have to get you to imagine everything. Positive recovery. To make a long story short, I get a vibrator, the back kind, and 2 copper plates, because this is what I dreamed. And I start using resonant oil, and I start using the vibrator on my throat. Suddenly my voice gets better and better, but I have this tube down my throat, and I'm choking on mucus. My lungs, I'm constantly drowning. I almost died twice, where my eyes rolled in my head, and they got it.
So don't worry, he spit out the tube.
Just one day, I was eating my whole vibrating thing with the copper plates, all of a sudden I went pop.
ICU nurses love this.
They panicked. They couldn't understand it, but I knew I was healing, and when I imagined that healing. I went to, every time someone came in, I would write on paper, because I sometimes did write.
You did write.
I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better. I'm going to find a solution.
I have the note you wrote about the tracheostomy next week. Of course I say that. It's in your file.
Now, keeping in mind, they came in every day and told me I'm going to die without it. That's it. You're going to choke. You're going to. They were absolutely certain I was dead. So I believe in that note. I said, then so be it. I'm dead. Because I'm not going to walk around. I'm just not into it. Anybody who is, I'm happy for you. You found a solution. That I couldn't handle it. It's just not my thing, and I was ready to die. That was a choice. But I did imagine me having a voice. And if you guys saw how loud I can yell, this all started me explaining I'm always hoarse. This will be for life. Thank you. But I can talk.
And how long ago was this?
I'm just working hard.
4 years.
4. I don't rely on Erin for much. My memory. Her husband, Yard, by the way, folks, who tolerates. He worked so hard to get here, it's ridiculous. We've had clients who couldn't afford to pay us, where we got to go to the mainland because they're in intensive care, and we treat them. We treat people regardless. If a client runs out of money, we continue. Good to know, says everybody in the room. Note to self. My entire life here, time to heal, my entire being alive, everything I do is based on the power of positive imagination. There is no doubt in my mind about it. When I chose to be a healer, yes, I have gifts. There's no doubt about it. My mother and my parents finally broke down and told me the truth. When I'll just say it really quick. They thought I had hyperactive imagination. Now, can that be bad? We're going to talk about that. Can fantasy be bad? Of course. Too much of a good thing's a bad thing.